Hi, everyone. So today we're with a very exceptional, unusual, wonderful company, TruColors. And Spree and KO said yes to me to be on this call, this great conversation we're going to have with you. And it is our Purposeful Leader series. And we have two leaders like that with us today. So we'll have juicy conversation. I think you will love, love, love their story. So first of all, welcome Spree and KO. How are you today?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. How are you? I'm okay. I'm good. I'm appreciative to be here.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm honored to be here. Brooke, thank you for the opportunity to share the True Color story.
And of course, I mean, once I found out about you, there was no way I wouldn't reach out and say, let's have this conversation because I think you're going to inspire a lot more people. So, since this is the Purposeful Leaders, of course, I'm going to start with that question. So, and either one of you can answer. And I would love for you to tell, not me, what the mission, the purpose of TruColors is, and the type of company you are. I don't want to do the introduction and do injustice. So,
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so so True Colors is a for-profit brewery with a closely knit social mission to unite gang rivals and decrease violence in our city while uniting communities across the country. And so our goal is twofold. Of course, we want to sell great beer, but we believe through beer, we can unify people. And if gang can unify, then that means that people across cultural divides, people across different socioeconomic status, demographics, and educational levels can also unite. And so we're peacekeepers, but we're also unifiers. And we believe that we are not just selling beer, but beer for a better world.
oh, I love that. I want that to sink in for my audience, like beer for a better world. How unusually wonderful it is. I love that. I love that. Spree, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, just it's we're about unity. We're about not only gangs coming together, but everybody coming together, and we just want to, be a trailblazer. Step
Yeah,
out here and show people that we're willing to go far and beyond to bring people together.
yeah. So, like, tell us a little bit about your story because not a lot of people will think about beer and have social impact. I mean, we all love beer. San Diego, where I live now, became such a big brewery town. And of course, we love to be around beer and have fun. But, like, how did the story come about? Like, having the beer to have that social impact?
Well, my entry into True Colors was a little different, but from our understanding, we believe that conversations change perspective. So why not a beer? Why not over a beer? A beer is a perfect catalyst to use to spark this conversation and spark this change. So we felt like it was a no-brainer, really, and I'm pretty sure KO can kind of turn it all around and from the beginning and why we actually chose beer. But it was a no-brainer for us, really.
Yeah, so in 2015, a young man by the name of Shane Simpson was gunned down in Wilmington, North Carolina on Castle Street. It was not too far from our CEO, George Taylor's office. And he thought to himself, people shoot guns out of cars? Unbelievable. And so because he had built companies that were all solution driven, he saw a problem and thought that he could create a solution for it. And he did it through beer because at the time he was chairman and owner of a company called Untapped, which right now is in the beer tech space and it's one of the largest beer apps in the country. And so because he had those relationships and he was looking for a business to open that we could hire the most people, individuals in our community, beer became the item. He thought that if we could change the product out, that we could probably make impact. Because during his research of understanding gangs, what he learned, which I think is remarkable, and what some of your listeners may find shocking, is that the violence wasn't because people were tied to the drug trade or wanted to hurt each other. It all stemmed from an economic issue and exclusivity, not having access to resources that you need. And so George decided to change the product, which was beer, and to create educational opportunity, which gave people access. And thus True Colors was created.
Yes, oh my God. That's just like, even if I've known you for a while now and read it on your like website so many times, it still excites me that you can just find a great opportunity for these people who might be lost otherwise, and give them an economic opportunity so that you can maybe stop gang violence one person at a time, right? Like, Spree, can you talk a little bit about like how you found out about like TruColors and how you got to be part of this amazing community?
Well, I was in prison when I first heard about it, Brooke. One of the original guys is a close friend of mine, so he was always telling me about TruColors, and I was kind of in disbelief and not really trusting the whole concept. But when I came home, I was coming in the building and really trying to learn and help, just so I could trust it. And I ended up being the first apprentice selected in the onboarding program. So because of my relationship with one of the close founders, I took a leap of faith. I always wanted to give back. This is a realistic opportunity for me to, use my influence and use my leverage as a community member and really push towards change. So I kind of learned about it straight out of prison. Straight out of federal prison, wanted to do something different, wanted to give back, and was given a chance. And I'm assistant director of marketing now, and it's been a crazy journey.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable. Yes, yes, I want to do the same, and I'm sure my audience is doing the same too. Like, I'm always like impressed by stories like that. And I know like you have something that you take your people through when they want to come in, right? I think the name is Disrupt You. So like, Spree, maybe you can speak to that too. Like, did you have any limiting beliefs about yourself, what you're capable of before you step into a place like this? Or how did that happen? I mean, that transition, physically finding about it is one thing, but this emotional and mental part of must be a big challenge too, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was a big challenge before I went through Disrupt You. I mean, KO can speak to it too as well. The process was a very unique process for us. It challenged us in many ways. We have something called the Beyond the Block experiences, where we go to different places and we do different challenges that inspires us and makes us step out of our comfort zone. And we end up learning a lot of things about ourselves, and with some guys that we always thought was opposition, but we figured out they were just like us. We had a lot of limiting beliefs. Myself personally, going through the process, you start to have subtle changes, and you start to go into it with this ain't gonna help me. This is just too different. But at the end, you're a whole different person. The courses that we take, just teaching us stuff from finance or how to get a house or get in a car, in which we call the 4 core. All this stuff is critical to guys being successful in a corporate structure, because like you said before, those limiting beliefs, even giving us an opportunity, but not giving us the tools and the resources to strip those limiting beliefs, we won't be too successful. We learned actually guys weren't really being too responsive to it, so we had to kind of change it up a bit. And now you have a very innovative approach of getting guys in TruColors, and I can't say nothing bad about Disrupt You. KO can speak a little bit more to it, because she was there in the beginning and helped create this Disrupt You program.
Yeah, KO, please do, because I feel like George Taylor, having seen that and want this amazing, purposeful organization, has more confidence in people, even more than the people who he wants to bring in, maybe. But so how did that Disrupt You came about? How was that structured? Based on what? I'm really curious.
Yeah, so it's a great question, Brooke. So Disrupt You was created it was a few key components and a few milestones that we had to hit to actually shape Disrupt You. And so in order to give you some context on how it even started, I met George Taylor in New York City. I was speaking at the Women's Venture Fund at a conference, and George was there, and he told me this crazy story about opening a brewery that hired gang members. Now, we both lived in Wilmington. We had never met in person before, but had exchanged the email. female. And I didn't know he was going to be there. He also didn't know I was going to be there. He was there as an investor. I was there as a speaker to help women entrepreneurs in professional development. And he told me this crazy story about starting a company that hired active gang members. And I thought he was out of his mind, right? Who wouldn't? And when he said that, I realized that, you know, it could work because I had experience in the inner city. I knew that better was possible. I was one of the recipients of opportunity because, like Spree, what most people don't know unless I share is that I also served time in prison. I served 5 years in prison. You know, I grew up and my dad worked on Wall Street. My mom worked in one of the big 4 banks, and then alcoholism hit our house and I found myself outside. I went upstate New York and got into the street trade, and I hustled with people that were a part of gangs, Bloods, Crips, and we called them folks then. And after serving that time, I realized the American dream I wanted wasn't just about a house, a picket fence, and a tall, dark, and handsome man, even though we welcome it, right? It was about making impact in the lives of others. And so that was something I held dear to my heart. I mean, at this time when I met George, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a freelancer. Nobody knows this secret, right? And so at that moment, when he told me this story about starting a facility or a company that hired active gang members, I realized that I had to push my pride aside because this purpose was more important than share my story, because I could be evidence that better is possible. And so I shared my story, and George invited me in to speak to the guys for one day. And I came in that one day with the original 11 that he hired. And he said, the guys really gravitated towards you. Could you come back and share whatever you shared that one day over a week period? I did that. And it was about going from the block to the boardroom, right? Because most people know the block and we're in the boardroom now. And that's kind of my story. And I knew that it would also be, it could be their story. I took what I learned in that week, and George gave me a 40-day contract to create a program that taught life skills, social skills, business skills. And I created it. And I used a lot of code switching and language because I understood the streets. And so I was able to apply things that I knew the guys had experienced in real life and help them translate that language, how to see the X factor in them, how their skills and understanding the street trade could translate into scaling a business and understanding marketing, target marketing, products, evaluation, and scale. And Disrupt You was created, you know, and we realized that you can teach a lot of skills, but even though we taught skills, some of the guys didn't have the confidence they needed because it was a new environment. You know, you're around people that you were in conflict with, and it's hard to be vulnerable in that space. So I went back and added belief week and belief in yourself, belief in your future, and belief that better is possible. And it was that belief week component that became foundational to skills. And we used this framework of formal classroom training, a development activity where we taught team members how to research what they learned. Special project, you got to present what you learned in your own voice in front of your peers, in front of rivals where you realized you had something in common. And we would reinforce it with the Beyond the Block experience. You get to apply what you learn in real time, because so many people in industries, founders, owners, purpose-driven people, Brooke, they teach skills to those they're serving, or they give them a class, but you're never really given the opportunity to apply what you learn in real time. And that was key for us. When Spree spoke about those Beyond the Block experiences, you can actually go look up true experiences and see Spree on horses, whitewater rafting, doing things that are completely outside of his comfort zone. They weren't just to have fun. They were reinforced with the lesson that better is possible. And it starts with you. And so Disrupt You was created. And that is disruption of what you believe about yourself, disruption about what you believed about your future, disruption about what you believe you can learn from your past. And that's how Disrupt You was created.
Oh my God, there is so much in there. It's so profound. And that's why I think I got so interested in the name, because that's what I was thinking. But now that you explain, it's even more clear for me. Disrupt You is obviously what people need to believe in themselves. I love the belief week. And obviously you were the right person at the right time. And I always have believed that's why you met in another city, although you live in the same city, but shared so much. And you were able to contribute a lot, obviously. Oh my God. I love both of your stories. And that's why I knew this was going to be such an inspiration for so many people out there, because not everybody has to come from like really hard beginnings or have that much challenge in their lives, but we still can come up with some good positive impact in what we do. But because I'm doing so much research on the meaning and purpose driven lives that we can lead, it makes a huge difference. It's just what we all need. And you made it into a real thing with a big company, and you are attracting these people and changing lives every day, obviously. So amazing. I can talk forever now, but I don't want to. Okay, you were going to say something? Yes,
yeah, I
please.
think it's also important to share that in addition to having gang in our building, we also have non-gang in the building, right? So we have a mixed company, and that is a new level of inclusivity, any kind of environment. So while we teach the guys how to go from the block to the boardroom, we also try to introduce our peers on how to go from the boardroom closer to the block to understand who they're working with, right? Because each one teaches one. There's something that we can learn from each other. And, purpose is often predicated on a pain and a passion, right? And when you put those things together, you birth something powerful. I always like to tell owners, CEOs, founders, people that are discovering their purpose, that you can be people focused, purpose driven, and profit aligned. You can do all those three, right? It's three the hard way. That's what we've been able to do in TruColors. And it's meaningful and it's powerful. I love your podcast, what you do so much, because people realize that profit is easy, but purpose is so powerful and much more impactful.
Yeah, it's so true. And we're finding out, it's not me. Thank God to scientists and researchers out there. They do see that, like, the table tennis in the club room or the extra coffee does not make such a difference. But if people find some meaning in their lives, in their work, it makes a huge difference why they're so much more engaged. They're more productive and everything. And obviously you live that, but I don't want my audience to miss that. And I want to emphasize what you said again. So it's such a diverse environment that it's not only the gang members, it's not only block to board, but board to block. I love that you emphasize that and you share that, because we all learn from each other. It's almost like the reverse mentoring stuff that's going on right now. It's not only the big people with like the big titles or big experience trying to teach the younger ones. It's the opposite. And it's the same for you. I'm sure like people who work with you who didn't share the same background is learning so much from you guys too. That's amazing. Yes. So like maybe Spree, you can say a little bit about that. I know like you were one of the first to join and you have this great position and great stuff hopefully that you enjoy. How do you attract other gang members into the company? What do you do? Do you actively look for them, or do they find out about TruColors like you did?
Honestly, it's a little bit of two factors. It's me being an example. Mm-hmm. These guys seeing me take the opportunity. A lot was being said about TruColors. So when I took the first opportunity to come in through the Disrupt You program along with some other guys, just that alone, my members started to say, okay, well, if he's taking the opportunity, and then when they seen me getting my credit right and getting me a house and becoming a better man, starting to talk about investing and owning businesses, they saw the direct impact from my experience with TruColors. And the other side of it is me really looking for guys to help, me going to guys that's willing to change and ready to change and start pitching TruColors to them and Disrupt You. And not only the impact we could help the company, but how the company can help us realign our core values, realign what we believe in and what we know gangs really stand for. Even though it's a huge, well-deserved stigma, we need to tell the story in its entirety about why things are this way. Nobody is innately bad in the community. We need to understand the root causes for a lot of economic issues, and these guys get it. They've been got it. And it was just a matter of us believing this was a real opportunity. And they saw the leaders take a chance first. And, guys kind of followed suit.
Yeah, that's great. And Kale, maybe you can speak a little bit about that too. And just please share what you do at TruColors too, because I don't think we even shared what your position is. And I love the way you name it. Maybe you can speak about that too. It's not the traditional name that you use, but a different name for what you do. I love that too.
Yeah, so I'm currently Chief People Officer at TruColors, and that includes traditional HR, but there's also some non-traditional components in there. Responsible for all the learning and development, which is Disrupt You, company culture. We have to make sure that internally we are continuing to facilitate that change and driving unification. Externally, some of my team members work with Spree's team to make a community impact, and also those standard things like payroll, benefit administration. But what's different for us is that we have that big learning and development component, but we also have some sustainability processes that I put in place early on. When we first started, what we realized is that even though we had this 8-week program called Disrupt You, we had to continue to drive that change. And so after that 8 weeks, we have a 90-day internship. Well, let me go back. After 8 weeks onboarding of life skills, social skills, business skills, and beer, each guy is required to skydive. It's part of our initiation to work in TruColors. And it's kind of symbolic of doing something you've never done before, going all the way up in the air. Most of our guys have never been on the plane, jumping down, but leaving everything up there behind and starting brand new. And they go through salary changes when they do that. They have a starting salary. After that initiation, their salary increases. Then they flow into a 90-day internship in the department that they expressed interest in. And after that 90 days of stretch assignments and special projects, they actually are on a career track. Early on, we would give each individual every quarter individual action plan questionnaires to answer where they are professionally and personally and what did they need. And from those plans, I would sit with each guy on my own and create personal professional development plans, which included that 4 core, that money, housing, transportation, and healthy relationships, everything from helping them find housing. And, if you have a felony, it's hard for you to get housing anywhere. And so working with landlords and property managers to give opportunity, so the role also became you have to change perception, and then helping them get transportation to get to and from work. It's kind of Maslow's theory, the hierarchy of needs. Like you have to ensure that those basic needs are met first before you can, begin to push those pain points to make sure somebody's a professional success. And so when we started TruColors, that was really the bulk of my job, is to making sure that our team was on these personal professional development tracks. And to continue to drive unity, we created something called True Community, which is where we split our team up into tribes, all gang. And we're transitioning that now currently, but we split up all gang and we had them compete. So each group was able to elect the head coach and assistant coach, and they would compete on a monthly basis based on work performance, friendly competitions outside of their comfort zones, and how you give back to the community. So if you donated time to First Fruits, right, to distribute food, that gave you community cash, points for your tribe. If you increased your credit, you got community cash, points for your tribe. If you got points from your supervisor or kudos from them, that gave you points, community cash, points for your tribe. And we use that to continue to drive outcomes like teamwork and leadership and unification. And Spree, and I'll say this because I know he's waiting for me to say it. Spree's tribe is actually the reigning champions. He was head coach. And so he has a trophy that has his tribe's name on it. And what that means is that he led the team that performed the best. And we do that because you learn how to lead, right? People get to see you leading, and your team can put trust in you because you help push them, which is the goal, right? Because we can't ever hire all gang members, but if we have gang leadership, learning how to push down positive peer pressure, they don't only do it here, but they can do it out there also. And so I'm people officer. That's the job, right?
Oh my God.
And what Spree said is taking it back to why gangs were originally created. I think that's so powerful for people to begin to understand that gangs were created to help shape their community, to give back, to care. And, there are some things that happened along the way. And a lot of the goals for our guys, one of their main goals, a widely important goal, is to change that perception on how people perceive gangs and to realize that gangs can be gangs for good.
Yeah, oh my God, that is wow. Yes, that's amazing. There's so many things in there. First of all, I could have probably never worked for you guys because I wouldn't be able to do the skydive. So that scares me. But I'm so glad you get to like really impact them in so many levels. Like you said, from the basic needs to up to the level where they really have the self-actualization, their self-beliefs in them. I mean, who does that? That's why I love that your name is not even the HR director or anything, but the chief people officer, because you do so much. And I'm a big believer that like HR was kind of put into a place where they're only about regulation, compliance, and not to touch people's lives. You are obviously doing so much more. So I love the way you explained it and how it so has so many layers for the people. Yeah, that's amazing.
I think HR traditionally, Brooke, and and Spree, too, traditionally HR has always been about compliance,
Yes.
but
yes.
HR should be homegrown and human,
Yes,
right? And
yes.
so I have this thing called the KIND code, and KIND is an acronym for knowledge inspires new direction. Once you know who you're serving, you can define and design systems, processes, and structures for them. And I think that's what being the chief people officer is. It's defining and designing for the team that you serve, because no team is the same. Every team is different, and you have to make impact at the level that your team is at. And there may be some things that you implement that are cross-cultural, cross-generational. Most of our 19-year-olds they're not thinking about retirement, but they know that if they want to retire, there's an option for them to find that, if that was a class that we offered. And so, again, Brooke, when we started early on, we had all these sustainability processes in place, and it helped with the flow and the fluidity of our guys growing. And Spree is like one of those examples. Like he said, he was one of the first apprentices. He knew what he wanted. He jumped in and got certified in digital marketing on his own early on. He built a relationship with the credit union on his own and built his credit. And he saw it ever since. A lot of what people see online, they would think that we have some guy in the corner office responsible for that marketing and promotion, that social media drive. That's Spreewell, right? That's him and his team that's responsible for that. And so, we always try to define who's behind the keyboard or behind the camera. And so I hope that everybody that's listening and watching, right, that are building businesses and companies decide to hire people that they may not look at first, because for us, gang is behind the camera, gang is behind the keyboard, gang is doing the work.
Oh my God. Yes. Spree, first of all, congratulations in so many levels, of course. But I love that it is an environment where you take initiative all by yourself and you don't have to wait for somebody to tell you what to do. But speak, I know your name came up a lot, so please go ahead and share with what's on your mind.
I was just, one of the biggest things that came to my mind was when KO brought up that I won the tribe competition. Well, I learned how to lead before I learned how to win. So I had to wait. I had to be patient and learn. And I learned a lot, and so I was kind of brought up into a winning situation because of my patience and my trust in Disrupt You, and really leaning on the experience from KO and from other guys that was there. And I ain't got nothing but positive things to say about it, because I'm in a position I never would have thought I'd be in if you knew my background and knew where I came from.
Yeah.
So it's just it's surreal.
Yeah. And I think I'm always looking at the traditional way we hire people. It's so wrong, in my opinion. Anyways, resumes do not do any justice for anyone. Those years of experience they're looking for doesn't mean anything about their success at work or how they will feel about their work. So yeah, I'm not going to go there because I'm going to take another hour to talk about that. I'm sure you do too. That's why I love the whole story about how you hire, who you hire, and how when people are given a great opportunity, they flourish, they become and they find themselves. And obviously, Disrupt You is an amazing program. I'm sure a lot of HR people have so much to learn from you, Carol. Oh my God, I'm already thinking, she should be a speaker at this event that I have, this one, oh my God. Anyways, I'm not going to go there because I know we're getting closer, but I want to end with two last questions. Otherwise, I can speak to you guys forever, obviously. But one is of course, one part of me says oh, that's amazing that you're doing this in North Carolina and wonderful. But is there any vision to even grow this TruColors to a place like San Diego, where we have so many breweries, but nothing like yours? That would be my first question. And then the second one would be, and you pick up whichever one you choose. The second one would be, what would be your best advice for our audience who are listening? Either they already have an organization, but they want to make a better and bigger impact besides making profit, which I agree with you, KO. They can all coexist. It doesn't need to be only profit or impact. We want them all. And especially for people who are startups or want to start a new company, but they want to set the right foot in and they want to do the right thing. And it's not only about making money. So 2 questions. Are you willing to expand? Is there any, vision to expand TruColors? And the second one is about advice.
Well, I think I'd rather go to that second one for me personally.
Sure.
I think, like KO said, the advice I can give people is about human connection. You know, everything is not about, of course, it's about making money, but it's also about touching real people. You know, being there for people, really helping people, and realizing that everybody makes mistakes. It's okay to build a bridge. It's okay to give people second chances, even in some cases, third chances. You know, who are we to judge? People change in many different seasons and phases in their life, and some people just need an authentic, real opportunity. And I think, you know, building a real human connection is the biggest feedback I can give.
Thank you, Spree. Thank you. That's so golden and so important. Yeah. Thank you. And Keo, what would you want to say about those 2 questions?
The first question about scaling. We have been vetted by other cities and other states to bring TruColors there. Right now, we're just working on making sure that we have everything under control and right here in North Carolina first. And once we do that, we'll look. But what we realize is that the scale comes with disrupt you. It comes with education and opportunity. And so it really doesn't matter if you have beer, if you sell tennis rackets or golf balls. Right? If you have a product and you're willing to give people opportunity, that educational component is going to be what sets the change. As long as you know that you are focused on that 4 core and that personal and professional development, you are educating them not just to learn the job, but to learn how to operate in real life. You're disrupting, right? And so, you know, yes, TruColors wants to scale, but yes, we also hope that people see our model and they want to create one on their own. Right. Yeah. I mean, that's important. And I guess advice for people that are starting companies, I second everything that Spree said. I mentioned something back, I guess, in the last couple questions about the kind code. I think that most people need to activate that kind code in their life. When we think of kindness as like being there for people and doing the right thing, but kindness is not just contagious, but for me, it's also a code. It's an acronym. Knowledge inspires new direction. Once you know what you want, because Simon Sinek says, we don't buy products, we buy your why. Once you know your why, right, and you understand who your why is for, you define and design from there. And if you keep that up front, you'll always figure out your how. You can create solutions for problems, but you can also create solutions for impact. It's all tied with what you decide to do for yourself and the community that you serve. And so we really appreciate you having us here today, Brooke. We appreciate people that are listening, that are watching. Spree and I put together something. I have something called the Purpose Plan, and Spree has been taking time out, and he's probably going to get mad at me for sharing this, but I'll take it. He's been taking time out to teach some of the young men that aren't in here yet about finances through what he's calling the Cherry Tree Foundation. And so we love to send you over like a worksheet tool that we have so that you can share with your owners, your listeners, that they can use to maybe figure out their own purpose plan. Because everything has a foundation, everything has a root, everything has to grow. And from that grow is fruit, because you can't fake fruit, right? It's there or it's not.
Yeah, oh my God, that's such a big gift, especially for someone like me who believes in individual purpose and organizational purpose, and the intersection of those creates all the magic in the world, in my opinion. To give that gift would be great. And of course, I'm going to add all of that into our description below, but all your website and everything. So first of all, thank you for your time today. But a bigger thank you for what you do every single day and having this unbelievable, inspiring, exceptional story to a business and how you're touching lives. And we know for a fact, even if people are not conscious, that makes all of us happier and healthier, and it makes worth this life living, right? So it's an amazing story. It just excites me. And I know you touch the hearts of my people who are watching and listening. So I would be so happy to share your story as soon as possible. But thank you so much. And any last words? Yes, please.
Oh, I just want to say, stay faithful, stay proactive, stay positive, and we're all in the same fight, for change,
Yeah.
And if you are in North Carolina, I'd like to encourage you to run to any store and pick up a True Light, right? Because it is beer for a better world. Every beer that you open supports our mission, our vision, and it spreads our values, which is truth, responsibility, and unity. If you're not yet in North Carolina, we're moving to other states soon, but you can subscribe for info updates on our website. And you can also schedule some time to book a tour or have a conversation like you just had here with Spree or one of our other team members.
Oh my God, that's wonderful. So I'll definitely have all of that described, I believe, below this, but that's a great invitation. And believe it or not, since I heard about you guys, every time I'm at the brewery, I'm thinking about you. It's like, oh, this beer can do so much for people. So thank you so much. Appreciate your time and everything you do. Thank you for saying yes to me too. Okay. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.